Hello, friends and followers on Facebook. Good morning and afternoon for those of you on the East Coast, because it's already felt like a long day, I'm sure. I wanted to hop on and talk to everybody about my number one breastfeeding tip. And I wanted to start by introducing myself because we have a lot of new fans and followers, and some of you may not know me and may not have worked with me before. So my name is Danielle. I am an IBCLC. That's an internationally board certified lactation consultant. That means that I have clinical experience as well as higher level education and lactation specific education for helping families with breastfeeding and feeding their babies, even if they're not feeding their babies at the breast. Also special training in taking care of your pumped milk, pumping, and how to maintain lactation even after you have maybe gone back to work. I have some other credentials too. I'm also a certified lactation counselor. I'm also a NOMAS licensed provider. That means that I have special training in working with babies who have been in the neonatal intensive care unit. These babies may have been born premature, or they may just be having a little bit of a hard time. So all of these different credentials, whenever you are looking for lactation support, don't just ask what their credentials are, but ask what they mean as well, because not everybody with every credential has the same background and training in order to pass that exam or achieve that credential. I'm also a Blomberg rhythmic movement training certified for pain management, which is definitely something that I like to use with moms postpartum. I'm also a certified nutrition and health coach. So I love to talk to families about the kinds of foods they can incorporate into their daily life that are going to really support their recovery, because the best thing that you can do for breastfeeding success, other than my number one tip, so this would be this number two tip, is support mom's recovery. So a little bit about my practice. My practice philosophy is that your goals are the most important thing. If your goal is to breastfeed your baby for 1 day, then that's my goal too. If your goal is to breastfeed your baby for 3 years, then that's my goal too. So now that you know a little bit about me, I want to tell you my number one breastfeeding tip. And it's going to be extremely obvious and seem simplistic, but I want to talk a little more in detail about what this number one breastfeeding tip means. I think that's my husband hitting all the little heart reacts. That's very sweet of you, honey. Which is exactly topical to what we're going to talk about today. So my number one breastfeeding tip, here it comes: ask for help. As simple as it seems, let's talk about what that really means and how to do it. So when we ask for help, we want to get good help and we want to get helpful help. And those mean something very, very different. Good help is help from somebody who provides you with options, who provides you with knowledge, who provides you with a plan of action, and who respects your autonomy. Maybe that help, that good help, is coming from your pediatrician. Maybe your pediatrician is extremely supportive of breastfeeding, and your pediatrician incorporates science, incorporates their experience, best practices, and that person is able to give you good help. They're able to use a knowledge base that supports your goal. They're thinking about your autonomy, your goal, and they're helping you to create an action plan for breastfeeding that meets that goal. Now let's talk about what helpful help is. Helpful help is when somebody actually does things that need doing that support your goals. So unhelpful help is really easy to define. Unhelpful help is things like, would you like me to give the baby a bottle while you go make lunch? That's not help. When I say to somebody, come over, help me, just had a baby and I need a little bit of help, the best thing you can get is helpful help. So what would helpful help look like? Can I come over and make you lunch while you nurse the baby? When the baby takes a nap, you can take a shower. I'll pick the baby up if the baby wakes up while you're in the shower. That's helpful help. And that's the kind of help we're looking for. People don't know to give this kind of help. And that's what's so sad about our current society and culture. We have a society that thinks that moms are going to be ready to be back at work at 6 weeks with no paid leave. They think that the non-birth parent is going to be ready to go back to work maybe the next day or maybe 2 weeks if your company's quite generous. And families don't know how to ask for help because society now expects us to just jump back into life. This is not true. So if you have already given birth and you have seen your placenta, this is wonderful. So your placenta was probably about this, the size of your head, the size of your face. That is the size of the wound inside your uterus after the baby has left. So if we had a wound that was, the size of a notebook paper, anywhere else on our body, people would come and bring us food and bring us support and bring us help and care for the older children and wash our dishes, no questions asked. Because a wound that size requires a long recovery period. Now, because the uterus is internal and we can't see the recovery that mom needs to do, we tend to think, oh, she looks great. Oh, she looks fine. Oh, the baby's so cute. And that is the biggest problem that we're facing, that families are not getting the support. They're not getting the good help they need to recover, to develop an action plan for breastfeeding success, to develop an action plan for parenting success, because so much of breastfeeding is really not even about the breastfeeding. It's, did everybody eat today, including the adults? Does everybody have a clean bottom, including the adults? Did everybody get a nap today, including the adults? So when we go to ask for help, what are some ways that we can define that we're getting good help, knowledgeable help, and that we're getting helpful help? So how do we vet our professionals when we're asking for breastfeeding help? Well, there's always the peer-to-peer help, and that can be very good help. Sometimes peer-to-peer help has a lot of passion, but it may not have a lot of science behind it. So asking questions in a parenting forum or in a mom group on Facebook can be an amazing way to talk about strategies like creative ways to store milk at your work fridge when the work fridge is kind of gross, right? But it might not be the best place to go when you have a new medication that you're going to add into the mix while you're breastfeeding. There may be other parents who have used that medication during lactation, but they don't always have access to expert information, clinical studies, and evidence-based facts, right? We want real facts, not alternative facts. We want real facts when we're talking about breastfeeding your baby. So, right, that could be good help, but it may lack knowledge. So things we can do, we can see a lactation consultant. Ask that person specifically, do you have experience working with the kind of breastfeeding question that I have? If your breastfeeding question is about medications, is this somebody who has a good background in pharmacology? Is this somebody who's worked with other mothers who were taking medicines like yours? Maybe your breastfeeding question is about latch and positioning. Well, it seems like most lactation consultants would know about that, but everyone has different techniques. People who have been in the industry a long time have seen a lot of things, and we've had a lot of changes. So are we using the latest and greatest? Are we still using things from 20, 30 years ago? Or is this a person who knows the latest and greatest, knows the things from 20, 30 years ago, and is able to help you come up with an individualized action plan that uses what works for your family? So knowledgeable help that has an action plan, knowledgeable help with an action plan that has your goals in mind, right? Because you are the one that has to raise this baby for the next 18 to 35 years, right? So who's the person who needs to be the key decision maker? Not the healthcare provider, not the helpful people in the mom group, not your cousin, not anybody else. It's you, the parent. And that's what we really want to see. We want to see parents getting good help that's lots of information so that they can make choices that fit their goals. Because it's your baby, right? You made this baby yourself. Other types of helpful help that doesn't involve a healthcare provider, things that you can do for another parent right now. You can drop off food and don't stay to chat. Some people really don't want to be bothered, but they do need the calories. They do need the nutrition. Swing by, run the dishwasher, exit, right? The sneak attack dishes, that's what we've all been dreaming of. Or sneak attack laundry, that if somebody broke into my house, washed all of my laundry, folded it, and put it away, I would need to find that person and give them $1 million. That would be like my dream, right? So figure out what kind of helpful, real help you want, and then don't be afraid to ask for it. We like to think that breastfeeding is natural, having a baby is normal, right? This is what people do. This is what humans and mammals do. Well, cool story. The Cincinnati Zoo had a gorilla, and famous zoologist Jack Hanna noticed that she was completely unable to care for her baby. She was bred in captivity. She had the baby, didn't know what to do with it. The baby didn't make it. So Jack Hanna put out an ad in the newspaper asking, because they didn't have the internet then, asking for breastfeeding mothers to come and sit with this gorilla who was pregnant again and breastfeed their babies on the other side of the glass. And when her baby was born the second time, because she had seen other mammals breastfeeding, she knew exactly what to do with her baby, and the baby thrived. So if it's a social behavior, if it requires help and support in other animals, why is it that we think we can do it alone? Is it because we have an iPhone? Is it because we have cars? We really can't do this alone. Anything biological probably happens in our community, right? So we are a very social species, right? We have social media, we can remember names, we can remember faces, some of us better than others. We are supposed to have that village of support. We need to rely on them and ask them for help. And if you know a new parent who doesn't know how to ask for help, just jump on in. Just jump on in, sneak into their house and do their dishes. Sneak into their house and do their laundry. Steal their car, have it detailed, put it back. That's not actually theft, right? That's borrowing and giving a gift. These are things that when you're recovering from having a baby, these are things that when you're trying to work on breastfeeding, you can't work on breastfeeding and do dishes at the same time. It's just not really possible. You can't work on breastfeeding and fold the laundry at the same time. So giving the family an opportunity to really hone in and focus on their feeding goals and recover, because it's a huge change to add a whole new person into your household. It's a huge change, particularly, I think, those first-time parents, you went from really you take care of you to now you really have to take care of somebody else for 24 hours. And then for second-time parents, you went from 1 kid to 2 in a flash. That's 100% more kids, right? You doubled your number of kids, and you still have to continue taking care of the other one. For those families that have 3, 4, and 5 kids, it still impacts them. It's still a big, giant change. Every time someone has a baby, no matter how experienced you think they may be, no matter how well resourced you think they may be, there is help that they're not asking for. So be brave, be the kind of person who asks for help. That way others can feel like it's safe to ask for help, right? So be the change you want to see in the world. And then if you know somebody who needs help postpartum, go give them the help, right? Other things you can do. I know a lot of times our families and friends are all spread all over the country. You can give the gift of lactation support. Telehealth, I do nationwide, available. Actually, I've done some international telehealth as well. So telehealth available internationally. You can always buy somebody a gift certificate for telehealth. You can buy someone a gift certificate for in-home lactation support. If breastfeeding's going well, but you know that they need additional support, you can also find a postpartum doula for someone. A gift certificate for a postpartum doula is great. They help take care of mom, make sure that she recovers. A gift certificate for a cleaning service, or DoorDash, or Uber Eats, or food delivery, or grocery delivery. All of these things are wonderful and helpful to people. So if you're interested in purchasing a gift certificate, comment below and I will send you a link so that you can purchase one to give to a friend. Won't that be great? And now everybody knows my number one breastfeeding tip. Spoiler alert, it was real easy. It's to ask for help. So I'll see everybody later.